Hello and welcome everyone to another episode of Monday Night Insights. I'm your host. My name is Pia Maffei and we're here at Artisan's Palette. I am joined as always by my trusted friends here. I would like to introduce them to you now. Dina here is in the middle and Beth is at the end. And we were talking earlier, and we're always talking about how great clean eating is and how we want you to do clean eating and what the steps are to start and all of this great advice that we give you, I think, every single week. And if you haven't seen those videos, please visit us on IamACleanEater.com and subscribe to our YouTube channel. There's a bunch of playlists there, and you can start to review some of the past videos that we talked about. But we want to do a little bit of a shift today and turn it around a little bit. And we want to talk about what we think are the 3 top challenges for a clean eater. So that's where we're going to start today. So if you have a challenge that you want to share with us, please put it down in the comments. But with that, we're just going to start and dive right into it. And so the 3 top challenges that we've come up with, number 1, and this is near and dear, or was near and dear to my heart, probably is more near and dear to my husband's heart right now, is the inability to go anywhere you want and go to eat. Okay? So I think what's interesting is the supermarkets and the regular markets and stuff like that you could go out, you could find enough at least industrial organic items that are available, and you could go shopping, and that seems to be okay. However, the restaurants, it's like a disaster.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? It is so hard to go out and find a clean eating restaurant and enjoy a night out and have it be a social event, or even just going out with your husband on a date or boyfriend or whoever it is.
Celebratory things.
Yes.
You know, birthdays, anniversaries, whatever it might be.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're going to have a lot of struggles because almost everywhere, every restaurant that's out there, you know, doesn't serve anything you can eat as a clean eater.
Right. Because, and if you want to test this, and please do this, when you're going out to eat and you're making your reservation, or you're there asking for a table for X amount of people, just ask one question. Just say, what on the menu tonight is organic? That's it. That's all you have to ask. And that, I mean, if they can't answer that question, then they won't be able to answer any of the other questions that you might have, like the type of questions, what kind of oil do you have in the fryer? Okay, that's another good question to ask.
Yeah.
That's going to let you know the kind of place that this is.
Yeah.
So if you like any type of chain restaurant, okay, this, and I'm not talking about the fast food chain restaurants, because we all know that's, you know, junk. But let's talk about the chain restaurants like Cheesecake Factory. The bigger, you know, what's the Asian one? I can never remember its name.
Oh, Panda Express?
No. P.F. Chang's.
Oh, P.F.
Right,
Chang's.
P.F. Chang's. Okay?
Well, P.F. Chang's is just the nicer, you know, linen version of Panda Express. They're owned by the same company. You didn't know that? I know, I'm surprised by how many people didn't know that. So P.F. Chang's is just the upscale version of Panda. They're owned by the same corporation.
Yeah. These are all
so it's the same
owned.
food.
Yes.
You know, with nicer linens and better ambiance.
Yes.
And
more money.
Prices.
And more money.
Higher prices.
Yes. So those are the chain restaurants. And then you get into more like the little local, you know, somewhat mom and pop, but they're more restaurateurs.
Sure.
And then they spend a lot of money on the decor, right? Oh my God, the light fixtures are beautiful, and the flooring is amazing, and look at the bar, and it looks so nice and inviting. And then you go in, what is it? It's all industrial food.
Yeah.
Everything. It's industrial food. So this is I think one of the biggest challenges as being a clean eater is the ability to find a place that meets you, whatever level you're at of clean eating.
Of course.
So because I've been in it for 5 years, I have a super high level for clean eating right now, so I don't make concessions. But there are a lot of people that still do and basically say, well, you know what, if I'm going to go out to eat, and I'm going to pay 30 times more, right? I'm doing it with my eyes wide
that
open.
Huge markup.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that with my eyes wide open, because really that chicken is no different. It's 99 cents a pound, whatever, or even less for a restaurant to do it. So my advice in those cases is, why don't you just go to, you know, your, like, we're in San Diego area, we're in Temecula, but in, you know, just go to like Old Town San Diego or another place that's closer to your area if you're from Riverside or Murrieta, or if you're watching this from another state, and just go to that, you know, smaller place that is industrial food. They're not trying to, you know, trick you into saying fresh, made on the premises, we make our bread, or whatever it is to deceive you into thinking somehow this is a better, cleaner restaurant, that you should be spending more money with them. Yeah. You know, and you're getting deceived by the beautiful lighting and tables and ambiance and everything else, when they're feeding you and charging you exorbitant amounts of money for the same junk. Right?
Yeah, because it's all coming, you know, like we've said in other videos.
1,000 times.
It's, no matter how nice the restaurant is, 99% of the time, it's all coming off of the same Cisco truck.
Correct. Yes, that's exactly right. So
whether it's a beautiful restaurant by the beach, off of PCH, or whether it's, you know, your local Chipotle or whatever,
your walk-up, your local walk-up,
Subway or whatever.
Right. Yes.
You know, it's really all the same food.
That's right. Yeah. There's really no difference. So you have to decide as a clean eater. So this one, the inability to go anywhere and eat, it's frustrating, yes, because it's a part of your, you know, you kind of purge and you mourn this side of it, you know, and then when you do find a place, you want to reward that place. So that means you go back and go back and go back and support those people as much as possible, even if they're just got a few things right. They're on the path, and then tell them, thank you. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for supporting this. Thank you for being interested in doing
our
better.
Local area, I think it's the better restaurants, you know, that I probably could eat at, you know, would be Eat Marketplace down in Old Town, and then Earth Bistro.
Yeah, those would
because
be two.
At least Earth Bistro is, you know, honest about what's on there. Like, you'll see this is organic, this is organic, this is organic.
Yes.
So it's at least the level of industrial organic,
right? Which
is kind of like, for me, my bare minimum now.
That's your bare minimum right now. Yes. And if you're wondering what these terms mean, if you go to IamACleanEater.com and look up what are you buying, there's a pyramid that we've defined and explains industrial food, industrial organic, industrial pasture, local pasture. There's a blog associated with it, and there's also videos. So if you go on and subscribe to our YouTube channel, you'll be able to get more information on that. So I strongly recommend that you do that and visit us online at IamACleanEater.com. So the advice here for if you are on your clean eating journey, and depending on how far along you are, you might just want to pick a spot that isn't going to charge you so much money that you're just paying for the decor, basically. Choose something a little lesser because it's still industrial food, or really seek out the places that are trying to do better. I want to just inject a little story here. Last week, my husband and I went to one of our safe places, which was down in San Diego. And we hadn't been there in almost a year because, I mean, we don't live in San Diego, so we're not in San Diego that often. So we were going to go up and, like usual, I was going to cook and do our thing, and he was just like, let's try to just one time we'll go out, because we rarely go out to eat. So we thought, okay, let's go to our safe place and go there. And so as we were sitting down, I ordered a tea, and then I noticed it was a different tea. It was like Mighty Leaf came to in my cup, and I'm like, what is this? So, but I thought, let it slide just a little bit. Got the menu, and of course it was saying all of the classic deceptive marketing terms, right? Like artisan cold cuts and locally sourced fruits, vegetables, whatever, right? So the guy came over and I said to my husband, I go, I'm just going to ask a few more questions because I'm getting a weird vibe here, okay? So I said, what on the menu is organic? And the answer should have been, which was, it's always been before, oh, everything's organic, okay? Oh, no, not this time. It was like, we have to ask the chef. Right away,
oh, great.
I knew, okay, this is no bueno, okay? So I go, oh, God, here we go. Sure enough, he came back and said, nothing's organic.
Oh, okay. Good.
So I go, so the artisan board, okay, is Boar's Head, obviously, okay?
Yeah.
All the other stuff is coming from Cisco. So I said, you know what? I cannot take this out on you because, the guy was our waiter.
Right.
And so I said, well, when you get a chance, I'll talk to the manager. And so then the manager, they explained to us that they actually got bought out. Okay.
Oh.
So there were new owners in the restaurant,
All right.
and they decided to switch everything. But guess what? They didn't switch. They didn't switch the pricing.
Yeah.
Oh, no. They didn't switch the pricing. Okay. So all the same, they made it look like the same. They kept the same name.
But they just switched up to those deceptive marketing phrases.
Exactly.
And, to make it seem like it was still business as usual.
Yes.
So please keep paying this amount of money.
Exactly.
But we've changed what's on the menu.
Yes.
So you're actually paying more for industrial food, whereas you thought you were, spending more on real food.
Exactly. This is my point. So I said, okay, the owners are doing risk management right now, right? Because it would be like, well, how many people are going to come in and ask what's organic? So we're going to take that risk.
Right.
And then number two, how many people, after they find out that it's not organic, will get up and leave?
Yeah.
Okay? Well, they haven't met me. So
Yeah.
I got up and left.
Yeah.
Okay, we both did. And it was like, I will not reward this bad behavior by spending this much more. I'd rather go to the walk-up taco place, and if I'm going to pay for industrial food, at least I'm only getting ripped off 5 times rather than 50 times. Right?
Yeah, because basically they switched up so those new owners came in and said, okay, well, we've already got a client base.
A built-in client base that trusts the brand.
Trusts the brand. So what we're going to do is we're going to completely change the food and go super cheap on that.
Yeah.
But keep the same pricing and keep, and change the phrases on the menu.
Yes.
To where we're not really saying anything.
Yeah.
Right. And so nobody can come back at us for any of these things legally.
Right.
So therefore, we're just going to make a lot more profit.
Yeah.
And this is going to be really great for us.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a don't ask, don't tell type thing.
Exactly.
Well, they're not going to ask, so we're not going to say.
Yeah.
We're going to take the risk.
Yeah.
And we'll just continue and then become more profitable, which is fine. Obviously we're in business, right?
Yeah.
So it's like you're fine to make a profit.
It's like, I understand that business
that
model,
level,
but yeah,
exactly. So the inability to go anywhere and eat is a real problem or issue or challenge when it comes to clean eating. So when you do find the places, this is the advice, when you do find the places, go back, thank them so they will continue, right? And then the busier they are, the more people will realize, okay, we need to do a better job and offer more of these items.
Yeah.
So,
and I mean, even the restaurants I worked in, you really got to know your regulars. As a server, you got to know your regulars, and you wanted to make them as happy as possible because those were the people that were going to give you the largest amount of tip.
Yes.
And they were the ones that were going to come back. So you had that kind of relationship with them. So you're trying to build that. Any restaurant is trying to build that. And so, the more you tell them that, the reason you eat there is for A, B, and C.
Yes.
The more those servers are going to tell their bosses or whatever, oh, our regulars came in and they said they really like this or they really like that or whatever. And, managers are always soaking up that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Owners are always soaking up that
like
stuff.
in the store here, we upped our game. We went from industrial organic chicken that was in our box lunches up to pasture that we use Pasture Bird from Primal Pastures. And so that's a perfect or classic case in point of upping our game. That's what's available. We're walking our talk, and we're encouraging people to keep upping your game when it comes to food. So, and then I told my customers, this is what we're doing. The feedback I'm getting is phenomenal. They're thankful. They're great. It's like, yes, this is what we want because we spent the time educating.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's number one. Number two, the second challenge that we find the most for clean eating is traveling, which is different from just being able to go out anywhere because it ties into it. But the whole issue with, I'm going to get on a plane. How are you traveling? Plane, train, automobile. How are you going to get to your destination? Mm-hmm. So there's in-country travel, out-of-town country, out-of-country travel. What do you bring with you? How does this happen? Where do you go? So if you're traveling, let's take, for instance, the travel first out of the country. So if you're traveling out of the country, let's say you're going somewhere in Europe, generally you're going to be a lot safer there, not completely, but, especially let's say you're in France.
Yeah.
Okay? And you're staying at a little chateau, and you're seeing, cows grazing and roaming. And then you see the guy, basically getting milk from the cows, and you see, they're actually making cheese right here. Mm-hmm. Okay, that dairy is probably pretty safe to eat, and you're seeing the whole process right in front of you.
Yeah,
and
because you're not seeing like the farms that used to be on the sides of the 15 North, like in Norco,
right?
Where you had the cows like sitting in their own waste, like at the side of the road, and you have to like hold your nose the whole time you're passing them because the stench is unbelievable.
Yeah.
And then
now they don't even exist.
And now
they're gone.
Yeah, they're
those,
gone.
Even that level is gone.
So that level is gone. But I mean, that was like what a dairy was.
Yes.
Even around here to a certain extent.
Right.
I mean, that was a bad dairy.
Yeah.
But again, unless you've had that experience, unless you've gone to that dairy, unless you know what they're doing, like you're completely clueless as to where that milk is coming from
where did
and
the food come
what
from?
The standards are for that dairy.
Yes, exactly. And that's the number one key, I think, to clean eating is if you have a plate of food in front of you, you just have to ask one question. Where did it come from? Mm-hmm. That's it. Okay, so the more you ask that question, the more you're going to understand why local organic, when it comes to produce, support Harvest to You. Mm-hmm. This is a great company that works with 10 or more different farms, local from our area, works with them, picks all the local organic produce. This is not the same organic that you can get in the supermarket. They're two completely different things. And then they deliver it to your house. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
Seasonal.
And it's all seasonal.
Right.
But yeah, one of the things I like about Harvest to You, because, I'm a customer of them now.
Yes.
I was with a previous CSA, but they decided to focus on wholesale, and so they shut down the CSA part of it. But one of the things I like is that Randy Farrar, who owns it, is a farmer himself.
Correct.
So
yes.
That's an even better level because he's in it. He's in it,
yeah,
and he
it's
knows
not just a business. He's a farmer.
So he's a farmer himself,
yes.
And so he looks at the other farms that he works with and says, "Okay, yes, no,
right.
no,
he's talking their language,
and he knows what to look for,
right, and the questions to ask. So it's all curated. That's why it's so important. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So those are other types of companies that you should be supporting. Mm-hmm. So if you have not yet, harvesttoyou.com, and when you come in the store, you'll see I give flyers out and explain.
Yeah, and like wherever you are, most likely you can find a CSA, Community Supported Agriculture, and you can get better produce from wherever you are. It's most likely going to be available.
Right. So we got to them talking about traveling and understanding where the food is coming from, because that's one of the main questions. But to hone it back in here for the traveling component, now if we're going to another country, generally these other countries in the food space is a little bit safer than the Frankenfood that we have here in
Right.
the States, unfortunately. Now, I don't want to completely bash the country with the food, but you can generally get better choices because they haven't been so lackadaisical on some of the farming practices and the legal
and standards.
the whole standard
Like,
process.
The standards are, to a certain, I mean, we become very industrial.
Yes.
And so other places in the world are
not.
Are not.
They're not. Just
Because
they're not. Yeah. They
They're
have
not,
traditions.
because they're not focused on more for less,
right.
kind of as much as we are.
Yes.
Because we're obsessed with getting the most amount of food for the least amount of money.
Yes. Yes. That's
And
exactly right.
that obsession, I think, has led to the farming practices that we have, and then obviously maximizing profit.
Yes, exactly. So my point is, let's say you're going to Greece and you pass by an amazing spot that, you smell the coffee, and I'm not even a coffee drinker, and you're like, oh my God, look at these pastries and the baklava. Enjoying baklava while you're in Greece gets 2 thumbs up
Yeah.
from me, okay?
Mhm.
Enjoying a beautiful bowl of pasta that's been handmade from, no modified grain or however
Right.
you want
because
to define
those chickens are pretty much pasture almost in the same way that Primal Pastures would be.
Exactly.
Which is our local pasture.
Yes.
So, yeah, you're most likely getting more authentic food.
Exactly,
Like real
right.
whole food.
Right, and a lot of these cultures are so proud and excited to tell you, oh, this is where the herbs came from. Here's our garden right here, and they
Yeah.
want to share, and they're proud of this.
Yeah,
right?
and you'll see that is when you talk to farmers or whatever, and you start asking them questions. This is what they do. This is what they love.
Yeah, they love it.
And this is their thing. And so they're absolutely more than happy to talk as long as you want about it.
Right.
So I always think of, like, when I'm at a farmer's market or whatever now, I talk to the person who's behind the counter a little bit, and they get really enthusiastic to talk to you because they want to talk to you.
Yes.
Because this is what they love.
Right.
But if I find somebody behind there that is not like that, I'm kind of like, well, why?
Yeah. What are you finding?
Because all the farmers that I know are like, oh, I love this, and blah blah blah. They can
Yes.
talk
Proud
about
of
it
their
forever.
crops.
Yes,
Yeah, they're proud of
their
what they
crops.
do
Yes.
because that's what they do, and
Yes.
they have a deep sense of accomplishment from it.
Yes. Totally
And
agree.
it's who they are.
Okay, now if you're traveling within this country and you're going maybe a road trip and it's gone for a couple days, a lot of people do a lot of work, a lot of travel for work. So let's talk about some of the things that you can do in that case. In the store, we specialize in a lot of these things. So we have these like to-go meals where you just add hot water. So if you're
Yep.
camping or gone for a few days, I call them your safe meals. Just have it just in case. Again, it's going to be hard to go to restaurants. I think I was telling you in one of the videos, we went to New York City in March, and we were two restaurants.
you were saying two
okay?
restaurants,
Two
and,
restaurants
and
were
like,
at our level for clean eating.
Yeah, you were sharing that with me, and it was just like blowing my mind. I was like, but New York is like one
Right.
of the food capitals of our country.
Yeah.
As far as like having a huge food culture.
Yes,
Like,
exactly.
these people are educated about food. They've got their Zagat guide and all
Yeah,
of this
right,
stuff. They've
right.
got it dialed in, right?
Yes.
And then but not really.
Not really. No. And it's
because
just
when you
start
started
to realize
asking them
it's
the
same thing.
questions,
Yeah.
like this
First
supposed
question,
farm to
what's-
table
yeah,
stuff,
right.
It's like, well, yeah, but no.
Right. Yeah. And still using canola oil in the fryer and maybe
Yeah.
on the table too.
Ah.
So yeah, that's a problem. So when you're traveling, and Dina, you hit up some issues this past travel that you went to, right? So what are some of your, you ended up having to do industrial food while
Yes.
you were traveling, okay? And so it's not like, oh my God, I poisoned myself, this or that. You just have to realize where you are on your journey and you're making these decisions. So, but it was a little bit of, would you say it was a bit of peer pressure?
Oh yeah, because it was family, and
Okay.
we went, and we haven't seen the family in a while, and she, the husband is in the industrial food industry, and on the senior home level, and big, buys a lot of food, so he knows all about that, but and is irritated at the fact that people with organic and all that because it is so pricey and hard to get.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Which state were you in? Pennsylvania?
Pittsburgh, yes.
Pittsburgh,
Yeah.
okay, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Okay.
Yeah. So
So it's not like it's a food desert. I mean,
No.
they can
Yeah.
find good food there. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, go on.
So she made lasagna for us, and to be polite, that's all she had, salad and lasagna.
Okay.
So I didn't. She would have definitely took offense to it if I said no, thank you. So I took a small little bite, little square, and then I had the salad, and I brought my own salad dressing.
Okay.
My little MCT, and poured it on, because that's what I do when I travel. I know that I'm safe. My standards is, because we do travel quite frequently. We're leaving on Wednesday on a road trip, that I stick to salads, and if I do a meat, it's usually beef. It's a steak, and I don't have them put anything on it, just
Right.
plain, and that's usually where
So
what I
that's the
usually do.
survival. So it's
Yes.
interesting that you felt like you had a little bit of peer pressure, and then you went ahead and just, kind of put your your philosophy to the side to not hurt somebody else, right?
Mhm.
So I think a lot of people do that, and I don't want to judge one way or another, like you should have done that or you should not have done that. I know that I don't allow anybody to put me in that situation, right? So it's just
So
a
what
no
would
go.
you have done on if you were going to a family member
Yeah.
you've only met 3 times?
Yep.
It's your husband's sister-in-law. I mean, would you say, I don't eat that, and
Yeah.
just have a salad?
Pretty
and
much.
say-
Or just yeah.
Yep.
Nobody's gonna force me to eat something I'm not gonna eat. So number one, I'd probably start using it as an opportunity to talk about being fat adapted.
Mhm.
Right, so explaining that this is my lens, right? Those are my optics, that you guys can sit and enjoy this meal, and I'm happy to be part of the social environment of this and be part of it. But I'm just not interested in that style of food. It's just not what I do anymore. Thanks, but no thanks. And then use it as an opportunity as a training moment or teachable moment or something like that to explain to them, I'm not being rude, I'm not trying to hurt your feelings, just the same as if I was an alcoholic and you offered me alcohol, and that would be aggressive, right? If you knew, so if I'm telling you I don't eat this for specific reasons, then that should be understood. So I'd either
accepted.
be accepted and not be judged anyway from it. So the traveling aspect of it and planning, that would have been probably better for you to call her and say, you're probably going to be making this stuff, and I super duper appreciate it, but I'm going to have my own stuff, or do you mind if I go and pick up something and share it with everybody, and then we can enjoy this together. So that probably would have been a slightly better approach, but you're just thwarting it at the beginning. You're not waiting for that to happen to put everybody in a situation, right? So you knew that you were going to go over there because you were staying there, so it probably would have been best, oh, you know what, I'm just going to call her, we're going to work this out, and then the situation isn't even going to happen while I'm there. And that's in line with how I would have handled the situation. Now, if I didn't make the call and I was there, then the answer is yes, thanks, but no thanks. Nobody could force me to do something that I absolutely do not want to do.
Well, on this next trip that we're going, we're actually driving to Utah. So I've already planned. I got my salads.
You have
I got
all your
that.
stuff.
Yeah.
You've got all your safe stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm
okay,
packing it, and we're going to the convention, so I already have my little ice chest. I'm gonna take my salads and stuff.
Okay.
So I'm already prepared,
Good. Okay, good.
and I'm really happy about that. So I don't, because traveling with, the 5 essentials, because they're glass bottles and all that, it gets tricky because if they spill, because I've had the MCT oil
Yeah.
mess up. I had it in a bag and it exploded and it got all my stuff in there.
Just bring the packets next time.
Yes.
Don't bring the bottle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm learning, but it, yeah, and then this,
expensive errors.
Yes.
Because it's not just the product, but then it gets into the other stuff, and you're like, I needed that. Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
so it's been an interesting journey, you know.
Yeah.
And this, when we went to family, I had no idea where we were going to stay, you know, as
Right.
far as sleeping quarters. So we were downstairs in their den, and the dogs have access to that area.
Yeah.
And my suitcase was up on this table, and the dog helped himself to my supplements and my superfood. And the second day, so I was without, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's an expensive treat he had." And I,
So you know it's good when the dog goes to that and didn't go to the lasagna, did he? Didn't
Right.
want the lasagna.
Lasagna's on the counter, and
Right.
it's like, no, I'm going to break into this suitcase for this superfoods.
really defiant puppy, but yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so the biggest advice that we could give you here for the traveling is to make a plan.
Mhm.
Know where you're going. Bring your stuff with you.
Yeah, I mean, if nothing else, take all your snack stuff.
Yes.
So,
right.
you know, your peely nuts or your cassava chips or your something.
Yes.
You know,
All
take
your
take all your
F-bombs.
snacky
Yeah,
foods.
those substances.
Yes.
Or
Yes.
whatever you're gonna do. At least if you have that as a bare minimum, that's gonna help you.
Exactly.
Because it's gonna stave off any of your cravings, so that you're not going to, you know, slide.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so that now we're getting to the third biggest challenge I think there is for clean eating and clean eaters, which is perceived judgment, which we kind of got into it a little bit with what your story earlier, because you felt a little bit of peer pressure, and then it's like, oh well, am I going to get judged, and how does this happen?
Mhm.
So perceived judgment, I think, comes on both sides, right? Like,
Oh, yeah.
it's like, I could be put in, well, it probably wouldn't happen to me, but I'm just saying, in a situation, I think people think this way, that it's like, oh, what are they going to think if I do this,
Yeah.
right? So you're the clean eater, and you're thinking, other people, how are they going to perceive you? And you're like, I don't want to be that person,
Mhm.
right? And so there's that, and then there is the actual, on the other side, like, it's like, well, what are they doing? Why can't you eat anything? Which makes it seem like you can't eat anything when
Right.
in reality we're eating everything.
Yeah.
But it's like, so there's two sides of this, and I know you had an interesting story with what happened to you on the weekend.
Yeah, so I met, so my dad wanted to meet up for brunch, which we do, or we meet up for like brunch or whatever, like usually every other week.
Yeah.
And so he wanted to meet at this cute little Parisian bakery over on PCH.
Okay.
So, you know, so I went, and you know, I was starting to talk to him about, you know, so I ordered whatever the cleanest thing I could find on the menu, which was an omelet with veg.
Yeah.
And
Which would be industrial,
you know,
but it's
which
the
is
cleanest
industrial,
option
but it's like
in
the
that
best
category.
option, you know.
Yes.
And I'm ignoring these like this glorious display of pastries and sugar, you know, which, you know, normally I would have binged on.
Yes.
And, you know, so I'm just like, okay, nope, that's not me anymore. Okay. And then, you know, he's saying, well, you should take some pastries home because they're really great. And I was like, is this a test?
Yes.
Like, you know, because I've shared some of my journey with him, not everything, but, you know, the basics of what I'm doing. And, you know, and then it was funny later on in the conversation, you know, after we were having our food, I talked to him about my morning drink, where I have my Raw Revelations Golden Milk, which is a turmeric and saffron herbal
blend,
mixed.
yeah. Mhm.
And, you know, I have that with some, you know, chocolate ghee from Fourth and Heart.
Yeah.
And, you know, with some hot water.
Which is
and
so
that's
amazing.
my morning drink. And I totally love it. And I'm super energized by it. But, you know, I'm telling that to my dad, and he gets this, like, confused look on his face, like, so you have a drink in the morning that's like a supplement with butter and, you know, or with, what did he
Fat
say?
and chocolate.
It's fat chocolate butter. It's like, you have a fat chocolate butter drink in the morning, and he's like, and you like it?
and it's healthy?
And it's healthy? And I was like, well, yeah, it's actually super energizing, and I totally love it. It's been, I've been doing it every morning for a month now, and I see huge amounts of results in my energy and my clarity, and how I get through the day, and it staves off almost all of my cravings, because that's where I start.
Yes.
But yeah, he was just super confused by it.
Right.
And, and his thinking of it from his, healthy lens. So he's like, okay, so, all right, well, you're making some better choices because I can see some results. But,
questioning, where does this come
you're
from?
having your, your supplement drink with, with chocolate butter.
Right.
Okay.
How
all
could it-
right.
right.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
So it's interesting because is his philosophy of healthy and clean eating like, the cardboard meat with poached, with, steamed veg and some form of deprivation?
I think, he's still in that, like, I don't know if you guys remember that diet, but the zone diet, where you're like trying to balance your protein and your carbs. So you're wanting the protein to be very high, the carbs to be generally low, and then whatever else is there doesn't really matter all that much.
Okay.
So it's mostly like trying to find a balance between your different parts of your meal.
And so he's had a history, obviously, with you, with you having the history of trying these different eating plans or diets throughout.
Yes.
So he has seen basically the merry-go-round of getting on, off, on, off, on, off.
Yeah.
So was this when you said, is this a test? Were you feeling like, oh, if I went home with the pastries, he'd be like, see, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. She's not going to do it.
She's just going to slide right back into her normal routine. This
Right.
isn't going to be effective change.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, he's seen me do this before. And, even though a lot of what I've struggled with the way I eat comes from him.
Right.
There's none of that is there. It's almost like, oh, well, I don't remember what happened yesterday, just we're dealing with today.
Right.
Which is difficult. But yeah, I almost did feel like it was the pastry test.
Yes.
It's like, well, if she takes 3 pastries home like I suggested,
Right.
then she's not really following her new lifestyle.
Interesting. So
but
how
yeah, I almost did
difficult
feel
was
that
that?
way.
How difficult was that for you to say, no thank you, like that's the old Beth, that's somebody I'm shedding, because your progress is unbelievable, I'm telling you. It is just remarkable in such a short period of time that how you've done a 180. So with that said, like how did you feel, how difficult was that? Because you had the In-N-Out test.
Yeah.
Okay, that was a few weeks ago, and now you have the sugar test.
Yeah.
So how was that?
It was actually not as hard as I thought it would be.
Okay.
But because I knew where we were meeting ahead of time, which I don't always, because sometimes I'll just go there and he'll be like, oh, let's go have this or let's go have that.
Okay.
So it's more on the fly.
Okay.
I'm trying to figure out, okay, what's the cleanest thing I can eat. But this time I kind of knew, and then I go in and I see this beautiful wall of pastries, and I'm just like, well, they're pretty, but I ain't gonna eat them.
Awesome. So awesome.
And because I've seen such fantastic results from being a clean eater, it motivates me more than anything else to say, you know what, I can't be that person anymore.
Right.
I can't be the person who eats the random pastries. Now, if I decided to make a clean version, the cleanest version of a pastry I could possibly do, and I made that myself, that's a whole different thing.
Exactly.
But, walking into a bakery, you have no idea what you're getting into.
Yeah. Yeah,
you really don't.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you know someone that works there and they talk about how they make stuff and where they source it and all that, then you're probably a little bit on a better track. But it actually wasn't difficult to say. So instead of saying, oh yeah, I should totally do that, when he said, you should take some home, I said, well, I'll think about it.
Yeah.
You know, and then I just changed the subject. Just like,
Yeah.
yeah, they look really beautiful.
Right.
You know, but,
Right.
and I'll think about it.
Yes.
And then I was like, oh, what are we going to order? You know,
That's
so
awesome.
I'm
Good
just,
for you.
it's just more about changing the direction of the conversation. And then obviously, as I leave, not taking 3
Right.
pastries home with me.
Yes.
Which actually isn't that difficult.
And I think if you were actually on a diet and saw this as a diet, then you start to feel the deprivation, right?
Yeah.
That it'd be like, oh,
Mental.
well, I'm depriving myself
Uh-huh.
of that. But because you've made a conscious lifestyle change,
Yes.
now that doesn't become, you don't feel deprived saying,
Yeah.
no, thank you, I
Yeah.
don't want that.
I mean, I
because
didn't
you're
feel-
not depriving
No,
yourself.
I was not depriving myself. And also, I know where those pastries lead. I'm
Right.
living with it.
Yes.
I'm living with where the pastries have led me.
Right, right.
So I'm not going back there.
Right. Yeah, good job.
You know, and to me, that just makes the most logical sense is to not go back to that, because it's led me to where I am, and I'm having to make a lot of changes to combat the negative effects of years of eating badly.
Right. Yeah. I think
You know,
that's awesome.
and I don't want to go back.
Right.
Because I know how I used to feel and how I feel now, and I don't want to give this up.
Yeah.
I don't want to give up feeling amazing.
Yeah, yeah, which you do. You have a lot of energy. The inflammation is coming down. Your
Yeah.
skin is amazing.
I mean,
it's
you know,
unbelievable.
and that's one of the things I had as a goal is like, okay, well, you know, if you are what you eat, then all of my skin issues are probably coming from what I'm eating.
Yeah,
And I want to dial that back
yeah,
because I want to look and feel great.
yeah.
I
and
mean,
notice
don't we,
no
don't
sinus
we all?
issues.
And yeah, a huge reduction in my sinuses. And I really, I really believe that that's clean eating,
Oh,
but also giving up the foods that don't love me back, like
Correct.
what you're saying.
Yes.
You know, that's one of your phrases, and I love it because it perfectly illustrates that you will have to give up certain things.
Right.
Like, I realized that I always had a negative effect after eating cheese and grain.
Yeah.
So grain would make my feet swell up, and I'd
Mhm.
have tons of foot pain. You know, I wouldn't be able to do my walks or anything without, really seeing negative effects from my feet. And then also the nasal issues, where I just get tons of drainage. The Kleenex box became my best friend. I thought I should get a necklace where I could just wear it,
Yeah.
so that I always had it. And that was a direct result of eating cheese
Yes.
and milk. And, so I realized I needed to find, some non-dairy alternatives. And, I'm doing ghee, so I didn't have to give up butter.
Right.
There's other things that you can supplement some of that for.
Yeah,
But
the
yeah,
better
basically I can't have a love affair with cheese anymore.
Right. Yep. And you're okay with that. Yeah.
And, I'm okay with it because, again, I know that I have a negative effect every time I eat it.
Yeah.
So to a certain extent, I just can't do it.
Right. Right.
It's just stupid to keep doing it.
Right. So this perceived judgment for clean eaters, I think what some good advice was and is that you kind of navigate the direction of the conversation,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So there might be something that you're in a position, so you might feel tested like you
Yeah.
did, or
Mm-hmm.
something that is like, really, that's healthy, or that could be good for you, and you're
Mhm.
just taking it kind of, you're very cool, you did it very
Yeah.
well. Probably don't see it as so combative, which you don't do,
Yeah.
which is good. But I think some people get very defensive very quickly on
Yeah.
either side, right? Like,
Right.
oh, well, then what am I doing wrong? I just, eat bad every day because I'm not making the same choices as you or whatever. And people get very...
Yeah, they get very emotional.
defensive,
Like
yes.
I almost expect, because I actually expected a little bit more pushback from my dad than I got.
Okay.
But because he's seeing the results,
Yes.
I think he doesn't really care what I do as long as the results happen.
Yes.
Is the underlying factor, I
Yeah.
think, is the most important thing to him, is, losing weight and me feeling better.
Right.
So that's what matters to him.
Yeah.
So, okay, well, that's working for you? Okay, great.
Yeah.
All right, whatever it is.
Yeah,
Just keep doing it. It sounds weird, but okay.
Keep
You know,
eating your,
but I think
your buttered
I think
meat.
I kind of expected, oh, so you're a clean eater now. Does that make me a dirty eater?
Oh, yeah, and he didn't. Yeah, yeah.
You know, and
yeah,
that
yeah.
didn't happen,
Right.
or at least hasn't happened yet.
Right.
I don't know. I mean,
Good.
you never
Well,
know how
we never
people are
know.
going to react.
Exactly.
But,
Yeah.
but he hasn't been as defensive as I expected. But I think it's more like he's got kind of a curiosity about what I'm doing, because I think
That's
he
great.
is seeing the results.
Yeah.
And, you know, he's seeing a change in me, and so that's good.
Yes.
So I think he's in the curious phase. So I might get a little bit more judgy phase later.
Okay.
But
not
right
too bad
now
right
it's
now.
just the curious.
Okay. Love it. Okay, recapping on the 3 challenges, in our opinion, what these are, the 3 top reasons or challenges for clean eating. 1 is the inability to go anywhere you want to go and be able to eat out, basically. That's really hard. And we talked about that and some suggestions. Number 2, traveling out of country and in country, and gave you some suggestions on that. And number 3, the perceived judgment on both sides. The clean eater thinking they're going to get judged before the person's even judging them.
Yeah.
So you're like, I'm expecting this. And then the actual judgment when it happens and how to handle that. And some of the best advice, I think, is what Beth said, which is just, navigate and start to change the conversation and take it in a different direction. I think that's a great way to handle that. So if you want to see more of these videos, I encourage you, please go to IamACleanEater.com. On there, you can follow us. We have a great Pinterest board. You can follow our boards on Pinterest. We have an amazing YouTube channel. You can go there and subscribe to our YouTube channel, like our Facebook page. And tomorrow, we have an amazing class here at 6 o'clock in the store at Artisan's Palette, and it's all about seasonal eating. Next week, we've got 2 great classes. Next week is our thermogram class, which will be next Wednesday. And my Get Food Smart, Join My Tribe class is next Thursday. I'm going to be talking about detoxing and cleansing. It might surprise you what I have to say. So if you want more information on that, please go to our Facebook page on Artisan's Palette, and all 3 classes are listed on there. Until next time, thanks folks. We'll see you. Bye-bye.
Bye.